Hey everyone, a post-game Browns thoughts following a Thursday night win for the Cleveland Browns 24-19 over the Pittsburgh Steelers, as I say. And I hope you're watching, Dad. Browns, Steelers, tic-tac-toe. That was an all-timer. For a lot of different reasons. The weather, I hope they never build a dome in Cleveland, because that was just beautiful. Just a beautiful disaster of what football is supposed to represent. You have snow just coming down in the span of 10 minutes. The field was green, and then it was immediately white. It was, man, it was just like, I texted a buddy of mine. I also texted my dad. One of the most, not from the football being played, but just visually, one of the most aesthetically pleasing football games I've ever watched in my life. Just seeing the snow just pelt the field, seeing just it go all over the place. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Like a all-time snow game that will go in the pantheon and just in the history books of the NFL. This was a great Browns-Steelers game. How the Browns won this game, I have no earthly idea. Because I have some numbers for you guys. Because there's a lot to tackle in here. Go hit that subscribe button if you haven't, if you're a Browns fan. Because I got a lot to talk about here in terms of, the future, the present, the rest of the season, just what this means. But let's start with just this game. And so Browns only have 304 yards of total offense. They ran 12 less plays, so they were outgained by 60 yards. This is the stat that there's a couple stats that blew my mind. Blew my mind. Number one, the Cleveland Browns converted 1 third down in this game. And it was the last third down that they had to convert in this game. It was Jameis Winston, after a penalty was committed. You thought it was going to be intentional grounding. There was a lot of confusion between the referees and Mike Tomlin and the Steelers as to whether or not they accepted the penalty. It was initially 4th down. Then they moved it back. It was 3rd and 7. And that was the third down that the Cleveland Browns were able to convert Jameis Winston to Jerry Jeudy. Which sets up the winning touchdown to the great Nicholas Jamal Chubb, scoring 2 touchdowns in this game. His yards per carry weren't great. He had 20 carries for 59 yards. But to score 2 touchdowns in this game, first time he's played the Steelers since shredded his knee against them literally like 15 months ago. So that had to feel great. It's amazing what has happened with this Cleveland Browns team when they have played a divisional opponent and it not have Deshaun Watson as their starting quarterback. It's amazing what has happened in the last 4 games that Deshaun Watson has not started. This Browns team is just a vastly superior offensive team. They did some stupid shit throughout this game. They only converted 1 third down, which is just astonishingly bad. And some of that has to be play calling. And we have to have a conversation about Ken Dorsey. But yeah, Jameis Winston again, 18 to 27, 219. He only has the 1 interception, but he has a huge rushing touchdown on a 4th down. The Browns were 4 for 4 on 4th down, by the way. Only converted 1 of 10 third downs. But yeah, and then the other stat, getting a little carried away here, Browns had 3 turnovers in this game. They were -2 in the turnover battle. They were -2 in the turnover battle. And they won this game somehow. I mean, yeah, they had an 18-6 lead, lost it in 2 minutes. But yeah, they're somehow able to come back and win this game. Jerry Jeudy was massive in this game. 6 catches, 85 yards. Cedric Tillman had a stupid fumble in this game. Yeah, the Browns were outrushed in this game. They were outgained in this game. They lost the time of possession battle by over 10 minutes. They lost the turnover battle. They only converted 1 third down. Almost every single one of these stats would lead you to believe that the Cleveland Browns were not going to win this football game. And somehow they did. And you know what? I don't give a shit about tanking. Beating the Pittsburgh Steelers fucking matters. So if you're one of these clowns, and I know I've seen Raiders fans who are gloating about, yeah, you guys won, now we're going to get the number 1 pick. Listen, I don't want Shedeur Sanders. I don't care. I think the Browns actually have the quarterback. I'm not going to say of the future. I think they have their quarterback for 2025 on their roster, and it's Jameis Winston. I misspoke earlier today when I did my pregame thoughts, saying that they maybe need to go get Kirk Cousins. Maybe they consider it to maybe create a competition in this room, because I don't think Dorian Thompson-Robinson is really a realistic starting candidate moving forward. Deshaun Watson's not going to start the season next year. Let's leave it at that. But Jameis Winston in 4 starts, yeah, he's 2-2. He's cleared Deshaun Watson in every single game yardage-wise the entire season. He's thrown for over 300 yards, I think, in 3 out of the 4, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's turned over the ball, and he's made some mistakes. He had 2 turnovers in this game. He had a fumble, which wasn't his fault because the guy missed a block. Brown's protection actually was a lot better than they deserved. Like, Jameis Winston was only sacked once, which was a big point in this game. But, man, it's just... Listen, like... We'll see what they want to do. They'll probably get a high draft pick. We'll see how the rest of the season goes in these final 6 games. They're 3-8 now. I could give a shit about, winning this game when they could have tanked. Beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in this rivalry, growing up in this rivalry, and one of my best friends in the entire world. You guys see him on the Mad Sports Show, Danny Udolph. He's one of my best friends in the world. I fucking hate him every week that we play this, every time we play the Steelers. It's just the rivalry. It hasn't been much of a rivalry because the Browns haven't done a lot of winning in the last 25 years. But it seems like when the Browns get into these games, for the most part, specifically in the last 5 or 6, there've been a lot of competitive games. And to win a game like this in the snow, just smash mouth, I'm smacking the table. Just to win a game like this where Russell Wilson was really good, only 7 incompletions, 270, a 1 touchdown. Like I said, you're outgained, you're out time of possession, you turn the ball over 3 times, you only convert 1 third down at the end of the game. You get a last-second touchdown. Really a satisfying win, given a lot of the discussion, it being a short week. The history, obviously. Now Mike Tomlin 0-8 against the division in his career on Thursday night, but, history was trying to tell you that, hey, the Browns were probably going to win this game. But I'm really ecstatic about this. Okay, couple things within this game, and then we'll get to the bigger picture here on Browns Thoughts. Go follow me at OffTheMic28 and go follow the channel at OT Mike Sports. Hit that subscribe button below. Like I said, if you like this content, we'll have more sports content in addition to Browns as well here on the channel. So, a discussion, and Chase Daniel from the facility on FS1. I have a lot of respect for Chase Daniel. He was decent backup quarterback in the NFL. Chase Daniel tweeted this, and Kirk Herbstreit mentioned it on the broadcast. Did the Browns score too soon? There was about a minute left in this game, and it was pouring snow the entire second half. And I say, listen, if the Steelers would have somehow pulled a miracle and won this game because the Browns scored too soon, I'm not blaming the Browns scoring too soon. I've always thought that argument's kind of dumb. It's like you're leaving it up to chance, 1 in a million. You really have to self-destruct as a team to blow something like that. But in this circumstance, I can understand it in normal conditions of why you'd be like, okay, sit on the ball, you can kick an 18, 19-yard field goal to win the game. With the conditions the way you were, you couldn't even see. The wind was howling, the snow was coming down insanely fast. That field got covered quickly. In a span of about 10 minutes, that field was covered in snow. It was a blizzard in the second half of that game. So I do not care what anybody wants to say. I am totally fine with the Cleveland Browns scoring with a minute to go in the game and just leaving it up to chance. The Steelers have a minute to go, having to go about 65, 70 yards to win the game. And if the Browns defense throws up all over itself, by all means, okay, they win the game. But it's not because they scored too soon. Because if you leave that to a field goal and there's a bad snap, or or Dustin Hopkins somehow slips in the snow or something, you just do not know what is going to happen in that situation. So I am totally fine with them actually going for the win there and going to. It just feels like a cheap way out. You play to win games. And especially in those conditions, you can't leave anything up to chance like that. So I'm totally fine with that. This was not Mike Tomlin's finest hour. It seems like he always underperforms against underachieving or lesser teams. That whole debacle with the penalty seemed to be a mistake because it would have been 4th down and the Browns would have had to make a decision. Instead, it's 3rd and 7. They throw for it. They had a chance to drive down the field at the end of the half. They let 40 seconds go off the clock when the Browns kicked a field goal to go up 10-6. There was a lot of stuff in this game that was weird. There was a couple of weird fourth down decisions with Justin Fields that didn't work. There was a handoff, I think it was either Jalen Warren or Najee Harris. They didn't convert on third down. The Browns converted 4 third downs. The Steelers couldn't convert a lot of fourth downs in this game. So, yeah, but this was a really satisfying win for a Browns team that has been searching for hope a lot of this season, and especially after, getting kicked in the teeth by the New Orleans Saints off the bye, and a lot of discussion about the future of this team. And, I talked about Andrew Berry's future, and then obviously Kevin Stefanski, and the rumors are now circulating. Everything's kind of been, quieted on that front that these two are going to be back next year. I don't know how I feel about Andrew Berry as much as I do about Kevin Stefanski. But Stefanski has earned the benefit of the doubt, not just on this win, just on, reputation and what he's done in his first almost 5 seasons with this team. Because I believe that was his 40th win, I think, because I think he was 39-38 coming into this game. So I believe that was his 40th win as a Cleveland Browns head coach. That's easily the most wins a Cleveland Browns head coach has had in the last 25 years. Easily. And it might even span back even further than that to the older regime of the Cleveland Browns. That's how good he's been. Yes, 500, but still, he's winning games. This was a AFC North smash mouth, Donnybrook type of a football game that you need to win. And they got it done. Yes, there was some discipline issues. There was some stupid stuff going on in this game that they've got to clean up. But a couple things to really talk about big picture. First of all, we need to... I've been saying this the entire season, and especially since Deshaun Watson got hurt and has been out for the season. It is astonishing, the data and the stats and even just the film that we have that exists that shows that any other quarterback not named Deshaun Watson performs significantly better in this offense or on this team than actually Deshaun Watson, the guy who's getting paid all this money. It really is amazing that there are still people within this fan base and in the NFL or who watch this stuff or look at stats that are trying to convince themselves that Deshaun Watson has a hope in hell of starting another game for this franchise, or that he wasn't the problem with this team. What more evidence do you need in the last 4 games? Yeah, they're 2-2, and there's a lot of other issues on this team, but they are pushing the ball down the field. Like, they were moving the ball in the snow. And Jameis Winston was throwing darts off, showing no fear. It was so great to see. And yes, there were mistakes that were made, but he was taking chances. And my biggest frustration is, Deshaun Watson was not playing well, but he also wasn't taking chances. He was checking it down. He wasn't even trying to run this offense at its effective rate. And what's ironic about that whole situation, this is an offense that was specifically designed to suit his abilities. And the backup quarterback is playing better than him. We've had evidence for multiple seasons. Joe Flacco walked in the door, played well. P.J. Walker, a practice squad guy, played better than this guy. I'm sorry. If you want to keep defending this and going on the rooftops and screaming at the top of your lungs that somehow, just because of that contract, Deshaun Watson has a hope in hell of even trying to stake his claim to this starting job, you are delusional. And I suggested Kirk Cousins. They're going to probably, beef up this quarterback room because, like I said, I like Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I covered him at UCLA. I do not think he is an NFL starter, sadly. Like, he is basically a developmental guy. Like, they're going to bring in somebody else and make this a veteran quarterback room going into 2025 because Deshaun Watson's going to have to be on the roster because, he's injured and he's probably not going to be healthy until, probably close to summertime next year. And maybe they try to cut him. I don't know how the logistics of that would work with him being an injured player. But the reality is what this has shown, and maybe I backed off on it a little bit, the Chargers are a much better team than people realize. But what Jameis Winston has been able to do in beating 2 division rivals in the Ravens and now the Steelers. And we'll see how the rest of the season goes moving forward. They're going to have an extended break here, and I think they get a Monday night game after Thanksgiving against, I think it's against the Broncos. So, but I firmly believe now that I'm not going to go as far as to say that Jameis Winston is the long-term starter for this Cleveland Browns team. But given what you've seen from him in terms of the leadership, by the way, he is a phenomenal interview. I know he had some stuff that happened with him a decade ago in college where he was an immature kid, but he's really grown up, become a leader, talks a lot about his faith, and just everything comes out of his mouth. He just has this charisma about him and just this leadership about him that you migrate to him. And that's the type of leadership and, type of guy that they need at the quarterback position, because Deshaun Watson wasn't really doing that because he wasn't playing well and he wasn't really leading this team. So, if you can go get Kirk Cousins, who fits Kevin Stefanski's system, I would be fine with that. But listen, Jameis Winston looks like he's very happy and very fine, and he's clearly clicking with whatever this offensive system is, and maybe they have to rework it because I'm not a fan of Ken Dorsey. But to honestly tell you, I think, considering especially since they won, and now, I've already said that the quarterbacks in this draft I'm not really, particularly fond of. And I don't think they should go with a young quarterback. I think a bridge option is great. And I think that Jameis Winston kind of fits the bill. He's in your building. He works. He's, 30 years old. He's relatively on the youngish side of being a veteran. Not too terribly old like Joe Flacco was in, pushing up there in age. So you don't have to rely and, blame age as sort of an issue there. But yeah, one of my biggest takeaways from this game, even though this was, I think, his lowest yardage total of the season, was these were tough conditions. This was a tough game against a really tough physical defense, division rival, Thursday night, classic AFC North game. And he embraced it. He even said it before the game. He was saying that he was blessed to be in it. And he ate a W, as he always said. He talked about, he had that famous phrase talking about eating W's. So, listen, this is, to me, what this showed is that he is, I'm not going to say the long-term answer, but I think if you want a bridge option or something to stopgap you to maybe getting to a different year and potentially thinking about who the next quarterback could be, I think Jameis Winston is your guy for right now, because it's just clear that anyone not named Deshaun Watson is going to get the job done. And if you've got the guy on your roster who's thrown for 300 yards in 2 or 3 out of the 4 games that he's played, the evidence is there. And for all of you people that are still trying to just be on the wrong side of history with this Deshaun Watson nonsense, I've been saying it. It's unfortunate what happened. I wasn't a fan of people, cheering him getting hurt. He's a deplorable human being. He's a terrible quarterback, and he's stolen money from this franchise. And I think it's grossly, desperate from what this organization had to do to go find a quarterback. And, it's been shown that multiple quarterbacks have just performed better. I'm not saying that they should have kept Baker Mayfield, but they stuck with the wrong horse. They picked the wrong guy, and the fact that they've double and maybe even tripled down on this working, it's over. It's over. And I've been saying that for weeks. This certified it even more. Yeah, they're 3-8, but Jameis Winston, obviously in a smaller sample size has more wins. Deshaun Watson started 7 games this year. Jameis Winston started 4, and he's already got more wins than Deshaun Watson had this entire season. That tells you everything that you need to know. Everything that you need to know about where this football team is. So we'll see where this team goes moving forward. I've got their schedule in front of me. They're at Denver on Monday night, December the 2nd. So this will be after Thanksgiving. So they get an extended break. Broncos are playing good football, so that'll be interesting to see how they come out in that game. Then you go to Pittsburgh. That'll be a tough game. Pittsburgh obviously licking their wounds after this, this game that they had and kind of gave away in some respects, even though they were down for a large chunk of it. Then the Browns will get the Chiefs. That'll probably be a loss. Although the Chiefs have been playing a lot of teams tough, so maybe the Browns have a chance in that game. They're at Cincinnati. They have Miami at home on NBC on a Sunday night football game. That'll be interesting. We'll see if that game gets flexed out. But Miami could be in contention. Who knows? Maybe Jameis goes on a run, and then at the end of the year, they're at Baltimore, and they've already beaten Baltimore. So, look, they're not going to make the playoffs, but at least now, I think we can end this discussion about, okay, we got to tank for a draft pick. This team's not good, but let's play with some pride, and let's root these guys on. And, going to Denver next week, Denver's had their number the recent years. It's a rookie quarterback. Monday night, you're going to have your back-to-back, primetime game opportunity. Go and show out. And then you got the Steelers in a couple weeks. You've got the Chiefs. And then you've got some other divisional games down the stretch of this season. We'll see where this thing goes. But I firmly believe, modifying from the earlier video, that I think Jameis Winston is your guy in 2025. And maybe if they want to bring somebody else to beef up this quarterback room and make it more interesting, that's their prerogative. But what's very clear moving forward is there's not going to be a lot of change. There should be some level of change for what happened during this season and the fact that they already have 8 losses in their first 11 games. But there won't be a change at head coach, at least if you're paying attention to the news now. There won't be a change at general manager. There obviously won't be a change at owner, but there can't be. I think a quarterback, if they want to draft somebody later on in the round, it's like, it's up to them. So we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll talk to you guys real soon, and we'll have more content NFL and college related here because it's a big weekend in college football, Indiana and Ohio State. NFL, not so much of a big weekend, some kind of dud games, but we'll see. And they got Thanksgiving, worst Thanksgiving slate that I can remember. So, because the Cowboys suck, the Lions are really good and are going to blow out whoever the hell they're playing. So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye-bye.